don't make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Oh, look at that. We're freezing.
We're good.
We're good. Hello. Welcome to another Monday with Michelle and Maren, and I am not frozen. Thank you for joining us again
Third
today.
week's the charm.
Yep, third week's the charm. So, hi, Maren.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm so good.
Good.
Are we
And I
gonna
hope
chat?
you're feeling amazing.
I am. I am feeling amazing. I feel really good. Can't get rid of the pink lips on the screen yet, but I'm feeling good. If anybody understands how to do that, because I know where the backgrounds are, and that's where I thought it was because I thought I've seen it before, but it's not there. I can't find it. So either somebody's playing a game with me, or I just don't know how to use technology, which oh,
At least, I mean, like, it's a very lovely shade on you. So,
thank you.
I would just let it be. But
Okay. Well, that's just for those of you that see the floating lips. Thanks. Just so you know why. So we're gonna touch a little bit on what we talked about the last time about with past lives, but um do you um do you have something that like do you have something that you have experienced or something with past lives that you've experienced yourself?
yes.
Okay.
So, I will say this too. This is a pre-story to the story. I have seen flashes of my past lives throughout my life, and I had no idea. And like the most significant one was I feel like there's something that triggers like a past life flashback.
Yeah.
And so I remember one time, I feel like I've told this story before, but maybe it was just to a friend. So if it was to you, please stop me so I don't like bore everyone. But I remember I got like an old CD, not an old CD, but like a CD of old Christmas music, came out. And we never played like old Christmas music. It was always, Mariah Carey and like all the like modern ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, Josh and I had just moved in together. We had our own house, and I was like, I'm gonna buy this Christmas CD, Christmas album, and I played it, and I like immediately had a flashback to a like Christmas party at my house. I was a woman. I was drinking. The living room was filled with people. There was green shag carpet. There was a radio, not a radio, record,
Yeah.
record player. And like I was like, well, that was really odd. Like, yeah, it was just like a really random flash. And
Wow.
yeah, and so, but I mean, I believed in past lives, but like
Yeah.
obviously had no like confirmation whether or not that was my true past life. But you did tell me in a reading that I was a woman in a past life, so it confirms it.
Yeah.
And then like not one time, bringing home my son from the hospital, my firstborn son from the hospital, and I was at home by myself. My husband, we got home to the house, and then my husband was like, "Hey, I'm going to go leave and pick us up some food." We lived where there was no family, so it was just us.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down on the couch, and I go to nurse him, and I thought it was like the first nursing where your milk comes in, and so like there had to have been a rush of something, and like some electrical something happened, and I got this flashback to being in like a very dark, like before electricity, like there was furs surrounding us.
Wow.
And like fire on the wall, and like so it was very dimly lit, and nursing, which I believe would be him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like nursing a baby, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it was just like it was like da, 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 like it just fell into
Came
me.
right in. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, that must be how powerful like nursing a child for the first time is, that it just like brings back like a memory so significantly. So
just as you're saying that right now, one of my daughters, my now 17-year-old daughter, I remember having an experience with her like that. And it was in the hospital. With each of my kids, I was in the hospital for like a week afterwards. And because I had some medical issues, but I remember nursing her in a rocking chair. And I felt like I was in a different world, like
Wow.
just very briefly.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was a completely different environment. And what made it really strange was the woman across the way. There were I don't know if they were Amish or like they were wearing the bonnets and all of that. And the grandmother was there and she stayed in the hospital room and sang hymns all night. And I remember thinking to myself, I was a little tired, but the hymns were actually really pretty. And she was singing, it was actually really, but I remember sitting there just now and hearing those hymns and being in a completely different life. And it was wood floors, wood walls. It was like me forgetting where I was for a minute. And
Wow.
I thought, well, I was just really tired. I was tired. I had a
Wow.
headache and
Yeah.
it didn't really put a lot into it, but I just had that in this
Yeah.
moment right now. It's that little
Wow.
flashback. So there must be a lot of energetic power
With,
to connecting to a soul in
yeah.
that we've had lifetimes with before in that state. That's pretty
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
There must be. Wow. That is really, really cool. Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Um, I just kind of want to like sit in that, like that energy, like,
I
oh, that
know.
is just so like love filled, like
Yeah.
that love, like just
Yes.
brings you back.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's always something that like triggers me, whether it's like a thought or a sound or, a
Yeah.
feeling that will like bring me back to like a past life. And so I had this dream. And this is when you mentioned like the ancient Egypt
Yeah.
situation in the last episode. It
Mhm.
reminded me of this past life experience. So I had this dream, and I always say it's like that moment in time like imprinted on my soul because it was so peaceful and relaxing. So I'm standing in the door frame. I'm kind of like leaning in the door frame and I'm looking out at Josh.
Yeah.
Um, and he's working in the backyard. And I'm just kind of like sitting there and I hear like and like that sound is like what like must have put me in like a trance meditative state in that life and brought me back to it in this life. And oh no, you're frozen.
Am I?
Okay, you're back, I think.
Okay.
Yes, you're back. Okay. There you are. Now you are. Anyways, and so I'm looking at him and then all of a sudden I can see like a close up of what he's doing. And he's got this like hand
Oh, we're frozen again.
paddle on with the stone. And so then I was like, wait a minute, why is he sanding stone? And then I was like, why is he not doing that without a power tool? There's something with this story because the
Yeah.
screen's going green, you're
Yeah.
getting like frozen
Uh-huh.
nonstop. This
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
And when you told about the ancient Egypt people, there was so many orbs. It was unbelievable in
Yeah.
here. But
Yeah.
anyways, so
Yeah. There's a
I'm
lot of
done. I
energy.
just
I
flashed
can feel
green
it.
and my mind's
Either
off.
side of my
Yeah.
body is electrical right now. I can feel it a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh my God, I just like keep flashing green too. Okay.
Yeah.
So then so I'm like, why is he sanding stone? Like that doesn't make any sense. And then I was like, why is he not doing it with a power tool? Where's all his power tools? And I kind of got like confused for a moment, which is how like, I always know a dream's real because I just
Yeah.
have this like confusion state that like brings me back.
Right.
Um, and then he walked towards me and it was kind of like just like they do in the movies when you like have like this like memory and like the person like walks like and fades away,
Yeah.
and he walks towards me and I can see his like shoulders down and he's got like he's tan.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, either like just darker skin or like a really good tan and a six pack. and And so the next day, the next morning, I woke up and I said, I just had the strangest dream. I told him, and I said, it was you and me, and you were working in the backyard, and and I was just listening to you, and you had a six pack and a tan. And he was like, a six pack and a tan. And I never kind of really finished the story because he was like, oh, and I was like, no, it wasn't like that. Like, it was just like, I think I think it was a past life. I think you were a different person.
Yeah.
And he had a reading with you, and he told you the story. And I never got to the part where he was sanding stone. I never told him that because he got all on to the six pack thing and it didn't make sense to me. And so I just never shared that with him. And so he was like, did Maren have a dream about our past life together? Were we in a past life together? And you were like, yeah, I can see it. You're sanding limestone. And so he told that back to me. And I was like, she told you were sanding limestone? I never told you that detail. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that's what, I assumed it was limestone because of the color of it, but you never know like what it could be,
Yeah.
And so when you said that, it was just such a confirmation of a past life.
Yeah.
And I just can't believe it. And so then I don't know, a week or 2 weeks or a month, I have no idea at this point. Later, I did Reiki on him. And well, actually, soon after that, I started hearing ancient Egypt in my ears. Like I could hear it, like like it's very like stopped. There's lots of stops in it, and then I was doing Reiki on him, and I heard Aten, like it was like Aten, like or something like that, and I was like, what was that? God, that was his name. And so I try to write, I write it down, and I'm like, what was it like? And I write it down the best as I can. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to find out his name? Like, what does this mean? What is this word? Like, how am I don't even know. I don't know Egyptian. I'm like in hieroglyphs at that point. Like, how is a needle in a haystack? How in the world do I figure out what this name or sound or word is? And so I was like, oh, I know. I'll ask my guides. So, so one day I was like driving in the car, and I was like, what was that word? What did that word mean? And I heard sun circle. And I was like, oh, sun circle, like the solar system. Okay, like that makes, circle around the sun. So then I started Googling like ancient Egypt, solar system, whatever. And the god Ra came up. He was the sun god, and but Aten actually means the disc-like shape of the sun, which is sun circle. Like, right? It's a disc. It's a circle.
Right.
And so, so he was named after the god Ra, which puts us in ancient Egypt because Akhenaten changed their religion to one god. Ancient Egypt had many gods. From my research, I'm a novice researcher here, but yes, Ja'aten was his name, which literally is in Wikipedia.
That's
as
crazy.
Being connected to Ra and meaning the disc-like shape of the sun. So
that is very
I had a past life experience. Yes. It was so cool.
That is very cool.
And I just feel like it was that sound,
yeah,
which is what made it like link or bleed through, as you said, in the last life. I don't know, like connect.
Isn't that interesting?
To this
because it, like a lot of times people will experience deja vu and get like that sensation of I've been here before or I've been here. And that is something that I've experienced my entire life with people, locations. Sometimes I'll look at something, like it could just be like a flower pot, like a, and it's like I've held this, I've had this, it's something else, it's somebody else's, it's not mine. Like just really weird things like that. As you were saying this too, so I'll tell you this experience that Rob had, and maybe this will tie in somehow, because all of us are fractals of so many different souls and oversouls. And I mean, to really sort it all out, and I have done graphs to try and understand it, where I'm doing like I've got, that's why I have graphed paper most of the time on me, because I have to do diagrams and stuff so that I can understand what they're showing me
Yeah.
to make some
Yeah.
sense of it. But Rob, he had this experience, and I've talked before about how he astral travels, and or I guess maybe some people say it's lucid dreaming, but he pops out of his body, and he's been able to walk around different places and locations, but he doesn't choose. So he's not consciously saying, I'm going to travel to. It's just he falls asleep and he pops out of his body. He feels it, like he stepped out of his body and he's now on a beach or in whatever location. Well, this particular time, he told me right away in the morning. He says, I had one of those experiences again, and I was walking around. There was a lot of sand, and he was talking about what it looked like, and he said he knew he was in Egypt, and he called it Old Egypt. And he said that he felt very strong, very powerful, very strong. And he looked down at his chest, and he described it like how Iron Man has that circular disc in his costume or in his suit. He looked down, he had that built into his chest. It was like actually part of him. And
Wow.
he pushed on it, and it just started to spin, and all this light started to come out of it onto his hand. And then he says he looked up, and it was like he knew what he was doing. He looked up, and there was like this circle, and he said it felt like he was inside of a pyramid, or was a structure like that. And he looked up, and he connected the light to the sun, and so there's like beam coming off of the sun, and he heard Ra, like he heard that name, and he told me he had no idea who that was or anything.
Wow.
And I was like, that was really
You didn't know
interesting.
Ra before?
No.
Oh
No.
my goodness.
No. So so we did a little research, and I kind of made some notes of certain things that stood out to him. And I've had dreams where I was in Egypt, and they're very PC though. I don't have an experience like his where it was like a continuation of one thing after another. But I woke up one morning, and I was coming out of sleep. So I was starting to feel myself wake up, but I could see. My eyes were still closed, and I was seeing what looked like pyramids or like Egypt. And I felt that sensation. I could smell like I would describe the smell as, if you've ever been to Disney and in the Pirates of the Caribbean, it's like the smell down there of the rides. It's like the water rides has like
The must.
kind of a must and a chlorine smell. It's like kind of
Mhm.
that's kind of how it smelled. It was like kind of
It's
this
like a sweaty, musty
kind of,
smell.
yeah.
Mhm.
And like I was smelling that, and I heard Zeta Reticuli. And not that I heard both, but it was the male voice, which I've heard before. And it's like I knew it was Thoth or Toth or however you say it. But so as you're talking about all of this stuff, I'm sitting here thinking, like there's definitely more to this too. Like when we were talking before and talking about what was it in the last episode? We were talking about experiences with past lives, and Egypt came into it as an example. And you saw all these, like saw different things going on. Like maybe explain what you saw when we were talking.
Yeah. So as soon as Michelle talked about that example, I saw this. I've never seen this before. It was like, I would call it an orb thunderstorm. Like there was this big orb, and it like shot across the wall. So it was like really like this, like a thunderstorm, like, when you can see the lightning shoot across the cloud, like it was so big. And then it was just orb, 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 orb. So something. It has to be something because
Yeah.
everybody got excited.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like. There's a lot with the way that the screen has been today and the energy. There's a lot of electrical energy around us right
Yes,
now.
it seems so electrical.
Very electrical.
Yes.
So I have a feeling that there will be some past life travel that we'll be doing to investigate what exactly that's all about, because I'm super curious to know, because I have this hunch in me right now that says that there is definitely a connection there that will
Well,
explain some more
yeah.
to us.
So you told Josh that in that lifetime I was a healer with crystals, which is also energy. So I wonder if somehow that has also something to do with this
I
too.
believe
I
so.
don't know.
I really think so.
Okay.
And there was a lot of teachings at that time. There was a lot of teachings with energy and transmutation. And my deepest passion, well, I mean, I've got a lot of things I'm passionate about, but I am very fascinated by energy and the ability that we have to be able to transform, to heal, that what we can do with the power of our mind and what some would call magic. It is magic what we can do with energy. It is amazing. And so I really feel connected in that way to that time. Something very energetic there, and a lot of the reason why we're feeling everything that we are. And there's probably a little celebration going on right now with a little key turning, saying, "Ah, they're getting somewhere. They're getting somewhere. They're getting ahead here. They're going to answer some questions for themselves." How exciting! But it's amazing because our past lives, they're not there for us to live in, but all of these other lifetimes provide a lot of information. And if you're here listening to this video right now or watching us talk, then you have come here in this lifetime to unlock parts of yourself, to open parts of yourself, and to be on this journey. And there is so much that you have brought from other lifetimes that you have done, because every single one of us, we already are the things that we're working on, that we're, whether it's our channeling ability and all of these abilities, we all already have them. We've had them in other lifetimes. We're going through this experience of really unlocking them, of opening them up. And some will say remembering them. And remembering doesn't necessarily mean we're going to remember how to do it, but it's remembering that who we are, remembering that we are so much greater than our physical bodies, and remembering that. And Maren, you have worked with energy, with communicating with those that are deceased, or as Eric says, not dead. But maybe physically, but you've done this before, and what Eric says is that's why it came on the way that it did too, because you do know how to do it. So it's working through the humanness and the socialization.
Is it not?
All of those things. Yeah. And that's the fun of it. As frustrating as that can be, but it is fun too. It is.
I feel like I get in my way so much with this because I overthink it because I'm just so programmed by society that this whole world doesn't exist, right? And that you're so limited and that there's only a few that can get here, but really we can all get there and we all have these powers, and we all, like, that is like an ongoing inner battle. And I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2 last night with my kids.
Yeah.
And there was like a scene where, if you're familiar with it, like his name's Quill. He's got the thing, and he's got the magic like
Yeah.
quill that
Yeah.
goes around and kills people. And but he moves it telepathically. And so then the main character, he's trying to control this energy ball and this energy he has inside of him. And yeah, I made a ball. And he goes, that's all you made was a ball? He goes, that's all I could think of. He's like, that was the problem. You thought of it. You used your head. And he goes, and then like later in the movie, he goes, do you know what I use? I use my heart. And then like as soon as the main character knows that, then he like can, do everything with his energy. And it's like, I just need to use my heart more. It's a remembering. It's not a learning. Like, so.
And that's very true. That's very true. And that's a good reminder for all of us, and a good reminder for this week that the head is not to follow. No, wait a minute. The heart is not following the head. The head is following the heart. And so the heart is where your authenticity is. The heart is what remembers everything. And there is a little brain in your heart. The heart has consciousness. So the mind is what helps us work things out. The mind is what helps us express in the world and take action to things. And the mind has a memory, but the mind will also trick you and tell you things that aren't necessarily true. But the heart will always tell you the truth. Always.
Yeah.
So anyway, on that note, I suppose we should close up. Do you have anything else you want to share?
I was just going to say, if you're like interested in your past life, there's past life meditations on YouTube.
Yes.
I did one that, it's like sometimes it's so hard to get past the head.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you might be like, I didn't get anything, or you might have just gotten something, but not anything of value. Well, just do it again. Each time you do it, I think you kind of let your guard down a little bit more and a little bit more. And then eventually you'll see something and you'll know if it makes sense. It'll really resonate with you if you see something that was a part of your journey. So absolutely.
Well, that's good. That's good advice. And I think a lot of them, they have some great meditations on there for all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice to take a guided meditation once in a while to just kind of let your mind go in the back seat and just go along for the ride. Yeah. Cool. Very good. All right, everybody. Well, guess it's that time again. We'll see you next Monday. Same time, same channel.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it.
We do. Thanks, everybody. We love you. Bye for now. Bye, Maren.
Bye. Bye, Michelle.